Welcome back, everyone. Whether you're a medical coder, a biller meticulously checking those claims, or a physical therapy clinician out on the floor, I am so thrilled to have you here for part 13 of our Masterclass series. I'm Harshal, and today we're tackling a topic that notoriously causes headaches in clinics literally everywhere. Yep, we're talking about the 8-minute rule. But we're moving way past the basic definitions today. We're going to demystify complex time allocations using real-world case studies. We're going to break down the math, look at exactly how to handle remainder minutes, and completely eliminate the guesswork. Let's get right into it.
Okay, let's dive into this syllabus. We're covering 8-minute fundamentals, core case studies, advanced case studies, mixed documentation, avoiding audit traps, and a quick peek at our next masterclass.
Section 1. 8-minute fundamentals, core logic and rules. Now, what's really interesting here is how rigidly these ranges dictate your maximum allowable units. It's based entirely on the total time spent. That is the golden rule, right? Your total time dictates your maximum unit cap. 8 to 22 minutes equals 1 unit, 23 to 37 gives you 2, 38 to 52 gives you 3, and it just keeps going. You never ever determine your total unit count just by looking at individual modalities in total isolation. You absolutely have to look at the total combined time of all your time services.
And this brilliantly illustrates the big dividing line in physical therapy billing: timed versus untimed codes. For timed codes, exact times absolutely must be documented, and the 8-minute rule applies. But for untimed codes, also known as service-based codes, time is completely irrelevant for your unit calculations. If you do 15 minutes of mechanical traction, or say 45 minutes of whirlpool therapy, you only get to bill one single unit. You cannot take that 15 minutes of an untimed service and bundle it into your timed code calculations to sneak out an extra unit. No way. You've got to keep these two buckets entirely separate in your mind.
Section 2. Core scenarios, unequal and equal remainders. Let's look at case 1. To solve these cases perfectly every single time, you need to follow 4 golden steps. Total up all your timed minutes, determine the max units allowed, allocate your 15-minute blocks, and then compare the remainders. Skipping a step is exactly how audit traps happen. Okay, so here, our PT performed 24 minutes of neuromuscular re-education, code 97112. They also did 23 minutes of therapeutic exercise, code 97110. Let's do the math together. 24 plus 23 equals 47 total minutes. And according to our chart, 47 minutes gives us a maximum of 3 units. Next up, we assign our 15-minute blocks. The 24 minutes of 9712 gives us 1 block, and that leaves 9 minutes left over. The 23 minutes of 9710 gives us 1 block, leaving 8 minutes left over. So we've got a 9 versus 8 remainder showdown for that third unit. The crucial rule you need to remember here is the tiebreaker rule. Any additional allowable units go to the service with the most remaining minutes. Because 9 is greater than 8, 9712 wins the extra unit. The compliant final result is 2 units of 9712 plus 1 unit of 9710.
Let's move to case 2 and see how this builds when the remainders are exactly the same. The clinician documents 20 minutes of 97112 and 20 minutes of 97110. Math time again. 20 plus 20 is 40 total timed minutes. This yields 3 total billable units. We pull out our 15-minute blocks. 97112 gives us 1 block, and 97110 gives us 1 block. But now, we're left with exactly 5 minutes remaining for each code. It's a perfect tie. So, who gets that third unit?
Because the remainders are identical, either code can legally be billed for that third additional unit. You could go with option A, 2 units of 97112 and 1 unit of 97110. Or you could do option B, 1 unit of 97112 and 2 units of 97110. Both are entirely accurate and compliant based on the time you documented. Now, usually clinics will choose the code with the higher RVU to optimize reimbursement in these tiebreaker scenarios. But compliance-wise, both are absolutely correct.
Section 3. Advanced scenarios, multi-service split, and sub-8-minute bundling.
Let's look at case 3. This is a multi-service split. We have 18 minutes of 97110, 13 minutes of 97140, 10 minutes of 97116, and 8 minutes of 9735. That is a total of 49 minutes, which means 3 billable units. First, we allocate 1 base unit for the 18 minutes of 97110. That leaves 3 remainder minutes. To distribute the final 2 units, we just look at the highest remaining minutes across the board. 13 minutes of 97140 is the highest, so it gets a unit. Then 10 minutes of 97116 is the next highest, so it gets the final unit. Now for case 4. This is a sub-8-minute bundling scenario. Imagine
7 minutes of 97112, 7 minutes of 97110, and 7 minutes of 97140. None of these hit that 8-minute threshold individually. But combine them, and you have 21 total minutes. Looking back at our chart, 21 minutes qualifies for 1 unit. What you do is bundle these sub-threshold services into one allowable unit. Typically, you'd bill it under the code that required the most clinical complexity or clinical intent, since the times are tied perfectly.
Section 4. Timed versus untimed. Mixed documentation.
This brings us to Case 5. It's a highly requested mixed documentation scenario. And let me tell you, this is a massive point of confusion and a really common reason for denials. So the patient receives 20 minutes of therapeutic exercise, which is 97110, 15 minutes of therapeutic activities, 9730, and 20 minutes of unattended electrical stimulation, which is 97014. Remember your foundation here, eStim code 97014 is a supervised, untimed modality.
So what are the timed code treatment minutes here? It is exactly 35 minutes. You only combine the 20 minutes of 97110 and the 15 minutes of 97530. That 20 minutes of electrical stimulation is untimed and is strictly excluded from this 8-minute rule calculation. Based on 35 minutes, you can build 2 timed units.
However, your documentation isn't finished yet. The total treatment time for the session is 55 minutes. That's the 35 timed minutes plus the 20 untimed minutes. And this brilliantly illustrates the divide, right? The minutes spent providing untimed services are reflected in the total treatment time for the medical record, but they contribute absolutely 0 to your billable timed units. Mixing these numbers up on a claim form is basically a surefire way to get audited.
Section 5. Avoiding audit traps. Securing your revenue.
So the crucial point you should take away from this explainer is compliance. And these 4 bullets are your absolute best friends. First, document exact times in the medical record. Approximate times just don't fly. Reviewers want to see exact start and stop times or exact minute counts per modality. Second, justify your treatment intentions clearly. Why was that specific modality necessary? Third, ensure your documentation is legible and clearly establishes medical necessity. And finally, base all billing strictly on the submitted medical record. Therapy services are only payable when the claim consistently matches the documented details.
Section 6. Next Masterclass, Documentation Mastery.
Coming up in Part 14 of our Masterclass, we're diving straight into PT Documentation Mastery. We'll be breaking down the complexities of evaluations, really differentiating between low, moderate, and high complexity for codes 97161 through 97164. We'll also cover the rigid requirements for establishing a plan of care and securing those critical physician certifications. We'll bring the exact same structured, actionable breakdowns you saw today.
Thank you all so much for joining me in this explainer. Keep practicing those calculations and always remember your remainders. But ask yourself this: if your math is completely perfect, but your clinical documentation doesn't actually support the medical necessity of those exact minutes, will you still survive an audit? Well, we're going to answer that next time. Until then, decode healthcare with Harshal.